Hi, welcome to the Gerim of Lakutei Moran, Volume 1. God willing, we're going to carry through with several Torahs of Lakutei Moran, the Ger Lakutei Moran. So this is Volume 1. We'll see how many volumes it becomes. It could be 3, 4, whatever it is. There's only X amount of Torahs possible. Just to give a quick background, because I intend to be a bit concise in these teachings. There is, I have a list here, maybe about 10 to 15 solid Ger Torahs of Lakutei Moran, Rebbe Nachman, where it is definitive he does not speak about the convert Ger. That is not to say that every Ger of Rebbe Nachman is not a convert. It just means that at least a large portion is a non-Jewish ger. It may come out afterwards that every one of them is a non-Jewish ger. That doesn't negate the convert. Where we have a mitzvah to love the ger, you don't say it's not a convert. It's not exactly a convert, not only a convert. Even though it's more appropriate, love the Jew for the convert. But he still has enough of a remnant of convert in him that we can love the ger convert of him. But it certainly is not 1A. 1A is love the ger non-Jew. 1B is love the convert. Love your fellow man, 1A would be the convert. The non-Jew would be 1B, only because there's a proper mitzvah to love the ger and a proper mitzvah to love a Jew. Both of them have shades of gray. The ger non-Jew fits in love your fellow man, and the convert fits in love the ger. The Jew even fits in don't harass or taunt the ger and to love the ger. I am a ger, right? A Baal Tshuva is a ger. Yesterday I was eating treif. Today I came to learn Torah. You cannot taunt me in saying, yesterday you were eating treif and now you think you're from. That is an avera, right? So you have a mitzvah to not taunt me and you have a mitzvah to love me according to my Baal Tshuva-ness, all the more so a regular ger, convert ger. It should be noted that Rebbe Nachman, and I guess this is in my brain, this is where I just got given the message, my personal revelation, try to include as much as possible of Rebbe Nachman's ger to consolidate. So I just realized, I chapped, that is as much background of Rebbe Nachman's ger that I can bring in. I'm going to do it to save time for the rest of the other volumes and ger references. Point being, often in the ger references of Rebbe Nachman, he puts it together, the Baal Tshuva and the ger. Again, one reason is because the Baal Tshuva is a ger. According to Bava Metzia, don't taunt the ger, it's a Baal Tshuva. But we're going to make a distinction. The Baal Tshuva is a Jew, the ger is a non-Jew. Aside from shades of gray, okay, we're sticking to the lingo and style of Rabbi Nachman, and we're not talking about every ger reference under the sun. This is the ger of Rabbi Nachman Lakutei Moran. Can we continue? I'm going to read Hebrew. It's just for me to get in sync, and for those following in YouTube land that know the Hebrew. If you don't know what I'm saying locally, ignore me. Okay, it's the Hebrew. Again, time constraints. I'm going to translate to English the part that you need to know. For example, I'll say V'dasha al yedei nafilas ha'emuna al yedei zeh nasav v'nischazik emunas kazviyos. Now I will translate that, but if it goes on to a little tangent, like look up in the Zohar 33b, right? I'm just going to say that. So if it goes like this, know that. And for those that say, well, maybe you're tricking us, then ask your Hebrew-speaking friend what he's talking about, and it'll all hopefully add up. V'dasha al yedei nafilas ha'emuna al yedei zeh nasa v'nischazik emunas The Nukudot always get me on this one. Kaz Biyos. Emunas avodah zara v'kayotze kamosha kasuf. Maybe she changed styles. I when I do these kind of projects, I oscillate. Like Art Scroll sometimes does Sephardi, sometimes does Ashkenazi. I call it just get her done. So we're gonna just do whatever works best. Sometimes Hebrew, translate, right? Usually it works out in a consistent blend, right? So just pay attention and follow the changes. Do you guys ever see Back to the Future? Remember he tells the band, he plays Johnny B. Good back in 1955 or whatever. Try to keep up with the changes. They hop. They got it. All right. Well, we're back in Cape Town. Let's go. And know that by way of the fallen emuna, that by this nastav and ischazek, this makes the shoddy emuna, the emuna of avodah zarah. You're a big emuna guy. Emuna here is the entire Torah. I was going to do Parshas Vaikahil for Cape Town. Remember, we prepared that. And I forget exactly where, but it's in my notes. In the first 3 verses of Vaikahil, it's obviously the introduction for Shabbos. And we know that the non-Jewish Shabbat of Krisos 9a, which clearly says a non-Jew can keep the Shabbat not like a Jew, but like Krisos 9a, they celebrate Shabbat. So for all rabbinic authorities and opinions that have quoted the axiom, a goy who's shomer or whatever, keep Shabbos chayav misa, that is not true. It is true to a certain extent, but I refer you to Krisos 9a, the Ger Toshav non-Jewish Shabbat. See the authorities there. It is not a fair or safe thing to say on a blanket statement, a goy that keeps Shabbos is chayav misa. It is a very deep topic, and when the non-Jews are asking rabbis, can we keep Shabbos? You guys have all asked that question, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly, I saw a video where somebody asked a rabbi, can a non-Jew keep a non-Jewish Shabbat? The answer back was, no, a non-Jew cannot keep Shabbat. Well, wait a minute. I thought I heard, can a non-Jew keep a non-Jewish Shabbat? So why are you answering, no, you cannot keep a Jewish Shabbat? It's like Mitch Hedberg has a joke. He says, I ordered a chicken sandwich. So the waitress said, how do you like your eggs? So I thought about it. And I thought, killed, then stuffed, and then plucked, and then cut up, and then put on a grill, and then put on a bun. We don't have time for a sandwich like that. Scrambled. So if you're being asked a question, please pay attention to the question, and then the answer might make sense. In that passage about Shabbos, the idea was that why do you give the Ger Toshav Shabbos? Because Shabbos is an inyan of the entire Torah. I can attest to that. I got my Smicha in Hilchos Shabbos. It is the whole Torah. I mean, you have to get Shabbos right. Everything comes in there. I mean, my non-Jew work comes from Amir Lagoy, the Shabbos Goy halachas. What do you say to a non-Jew on Shabbos? And it's a whole discussion. It's not so simple to say you can have a Shabbos Goy. And for argument's sake, in the Shulchan Aruch, there are 2 diametrically opposed opinions. It's not a contradiction. It's just 2 streams, 2 situations. One says yes, one says no. Go see it there for further insight. The non-Jew, thereby in his celebration of keeping a non-Jewish Shabbat, see Rashi Yevamos 48b, it entails the entire Torah is inside there. Any concept of the entire Torah is called emuna. The Talmud gives an example. If you, Jacques, are doing my tithing of food in my house. Now, you're not Jewish and you're not a rabbi. But let's say you have a farm in Syria, right? And we're very close, so you can come over and establish my agricultural stuff. And you don't know the lingo, but you know The cucumbers go here, the tomatoes go there. And we have a relationship that I know I'm not breaking a Torah law when you handle my goods. That's called emuna. You have the entire Torah that you're aware of. Now, do you know about damages of oxen in the public domain? No, but you don't even know it exists. So therefore, it doesn't exist, right? Does the future exist? No. So, but it does. But you're not privy to it. So according to you, it doesn't exist. So therefore, you have emuna for what you know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to live in the world. And since it's a Torah endeavor, and there's laws involved, I can assume you know the entire Torah. Even though it's a very small Torah that you know. Me and you had a conversation. Did Moses know the whole Torah? Right? Yes, he did. But no, he didn't. There was a revelation he was not privy to. No eye has ever seen the world to come. But if we're going to be according to the letter of the law, then Moses didn't have emuna. We can't say that. So in his world of revelation, he had emuna. Even though there's a greater messianic emuna of the Torah of the Messiah when that happens. And it doesn't change the fundamental Torah of Moses. The Talmud there says, if you do anything funny or off in your emuna, we reject you completely. So you got the cucumbers right and the tomatoes right, and you sounded like a Jew when you did it. But there was like a piece of bacon on the table next to the food. You're totally puzzled. Everything goes out the window. You have no credibility. And that's really how life works, isn't it? Like you don't get the liberty in this world of the big mess up, and everyone says, well, we all make mistakes. No. You mess up royally, you're out royally. That's why it's emuna. Wouldn't it be a little bit funny if Rabbi Katz came and the Ger Toshav and all this, and I'd never heard of the Babylonian Talmud? A little funny, isn't it? How am I going to rebound off of that? Rabbi Katz, can you please tell us about the Babylonian Talmud, a tractate? What? Well, I know the Rashba, the Ridfa, and... Okay, can you tell me where it says it in the Talmud? What Talmud? What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, Rabbi Katz is a little funny. We're gonna get rid of Rabbi Katz, and if it's off, it's off. Therefore, you don't have emuna when you're off. This is what he's saying here. When your emuna fell down and it's off, you call that sheker, right? It's truth with a little bit of falsehood, as it is written in Yecheskel, and they quote a verse in Yecheskel. This is called fallen emuna. Ki ikar kiyum v'chizuk emunas. The nakudas are always tough on this word. Kazbiyais. It's like one of those. It's a tough word to say. Hu menafilas ha'emuna hakadoisha hushamalin emuna nefula mizen nasa gerim ki al yedei shenilkotim v'nivrarin nefilas ha'emuna shemisham yanikas emunasam al yedei zeh nichla shkoyach emunasam v'azayhem chozri emunasam v'nasa gerim. By the way, Likutei Moharan has vowels. That's why it's harder. Usually a lot of the books don't have vowels, and then you just kind of schmaltz it with yeshivish. Here I'm trying to say it correctly in real time. I'm going to translate, though. Sometimes the vowels are difficult to pronounce in terms of on the spot quickly. When the emuna falls down, ikar kiyum, the main principle, fulfillment, establishment, and strengthening chizik amunas kazbiyos who the fall. Ikar kiyum. Let's just read it. One second. Ikar kiyum v'chizuk. Ikar kiyum chizuk emunas because the Yeshua and the feels. When true holy faith with emuna, let's not translate faith. Emuna goes down. That it becomes the ikar kiyum in strength of false emuna. Right? See this? When we take ger and the holy emuna ger and take it out, it falls down. All right? 2,000 years ago, ger became problematic. We removed it. Blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos is problematic. You're going to carry into a sin. Let's take it out. So there are reasons why the emuna goes down. But when it goes down, see, I can blow shofar on Shabbos, but you're a shlemazel and you won't do it. You're right, the Jewish guy. You don't know the law and you're going to transgress, and because of you, right? Now I can't do it. Thanks. And because I'm on the level and you're not on the level, the Sitra Achra comes in and says, hey, everybody, since the Jews aren't blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah, because this year it's on Shabbos, let's make a cult out of it. Let's make the ger shofar pig eating cult, right? Naphtali movement of the northern kingdom of Greater Syria, where the ancient Israelites were meant to dwell in the end of days. Right? That's a good cult to join. And namely, when ger was removed, every religion is a bad ger movement, really. Right? Islam is, we're the real people, and the Jews are dhimmi. Christianity, we're the new Israel, and the ger rose above the Jews who have not recognized. So, the fallen emuna creates a strength and fulfillment in the bad emuna. See how that point is? You remove the thing, that thing becomes the thing. So we hate Gerim only because it became a perverted thing. So therefore, we'll say it's forbidden. But there's a good ger called a convert. Now, it's for sure not the bad thing. And then people say, Gerim are bad, converts are good. They don't even know enough to say that, but we'll pretend they do know enough to say that. What they should say is, go and dig in and find the real thing, and you'll see it's not the stigma. Like Melchizedek is one, right? Melchizedek is a horrible Christian Jesus thing. But that's only because we took Melchizedek out. I don't know why, but let's just say we did. How about this? We took Melchizedek out because we want Abraham to shine. So now Abraham is the king Jew. Melchizedek is a nothing. Christianity comes and says, you don't want to use him? I'll use him. Jesus is like Melchizedek. So now the thing itself drives the engine, and it was Melchizedek that was like the good thing that became the driving force of the bad thing. So if I want to get the holy emuna back, we got to take Melchizedek. But if you take Melchizedek, everyone's going to say, what? Like the eternal priesthood, Jesus Christian thing? Then I have to say, no. Did you read the Baal Torah that says that Melchizedek was Shem? Then you say, what do you want with Shem? Oh, so you don't know who Shem was. Now, another thing that's removed. Ger, Shem, Melchizedek. So there's a whole world of Torah missing from our emuna. Right? King David calls that in Psalms Shem Yisrael. It's like this whole thing that we're on about. Names, Mazel, Ger, Shem, Melchizedek. That creates a Sitra Achra. Right? We take the good stuff out. We have what's called Mekatne Amana. Small emuna. The Sitra Achra grabs it and says, if you don't want Melchizedek, then I'll make a religion and cult out of it. So I have a new emuna. And it is driven by that fallen emuna. And now, in the name of fallen emuna, we have a new false emuna driving idolatry. When we elevate the fallen emuna, this is the climax right here, ready? Mizeh nasin gerim. From this we make gerim. When you restore Malki Tzedek, you just made a ger. And it's a spiritual thing. Meaning you caused a guy in Antarctica to receive Nefesh Hager. So the whole infrastructure of the fallen Emuna, it falls here. But in Shemayim, it is erect. And just a waiting operation. Right? So that when you step into it here, you cause it to be stepped into above. And then that brings down Shefa. So if I become involved in Malki Tzedek in the name of Rebbe Nachman, by the way, I didn't ask which one it was, the Tinyana, number 5, number 4, 254. So I get involved in Malki Tzedek, not Jesus, Dafka. That raises up the fallen Emuna. That causes up there the heavenly yeshiva to say, hey, everybody remember Shem, Malki Tzedek? He's back in action. No, it's not Jesus this time. That brings the Shefa down through Atzilus and Kabbalah, through a nefesh, a nefesh, a low soul, not in quality soul, but the one that comes in your body, low soul. Right? It doesn't pay to say that our higher souls are enacted. We need people in the flesh becoming aware of God. It doesn't do me any good that you in your back of your mind believe in God. It doesn't change the world anything. I need you to articulate it. It's called Nefesh Hager. So a bunch of tzaddikim over there were doing tzaddikim stuff, says the Kabbalah, right? Making unifications, tzaddikim stuff for the sake of this class. And their union of soul created a union above. Again, union below, union above, but it's a different thing than this. And their union created a nefesh hager. So I might not be a tzaddik, but I'm dealing with Malki Tzedek, not Jesus. And you can see if it's not the name of Avodah Zarah, I'm strengthening Avodah Hashem. So I'm doing ger work, right? I'm taking away Avodah Zarah, I'm creating Avodah Hashem, I'm strengthening the fallen Emuna, and I'm elevating that Emuna. All in one. It's like a Swiss Army knife of Kedusha. The Tzaddikim, they never heard of Jesus. Like, these guys have been Abraham. It's like, who? What? But they're interested in doing Jewish unifications. So they're not pro-ger, necessarily. They don't even know that is a Noahide movement. They just understand the Torah of ger. Right? They understand the male-female higher level. So if you were to say, Rabbi, could there have been the Noahide at Sinai? He'll say, yeah, that makes sense. No, okay, no, next. It's not even an issue. It's more to, from the mouth of God I heard too. So what? Okay, Mustama, there was Noahides there. Probably, okay. That's why the yeshiva guys have no problem with ger. But he's not interested in bringing it to the table. But he creates the potential. When he said, yeah, there was a ger at Sinai. Okay, the Rashba says it. He just put that ger up there. Like, the apple was born. And so now, when I come out and articulate, yes, Malki Tzedek, kacha, 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 and no, ger is not Christian. The Nefesh Hager went down in India. And some Indian who was an idolater woke up one day and said, this is ridiculous. I don't believe in Hinduism anymore. But he didn't tell anybody because he's a Nachri. He's totally a goy. He's a Nachri. But he's in the church. I know it's okay. I don't need to get into the ashram. He's in the church. And he has a dirty secret now. I don't believe it. But he won't tell anybody because karma says, right, it's a bad thing. But now the internet, he's like, okay, what is this God of Israel? He doesn't tell anybody. He now has a living, pulsating nefesh hager. He's a ger. What do you call that? Trick question. No. What do you call this guy? The Namen program. He's a goy, but he's thinking weird thoughts. He's thinking, I want the prophet of Israel. And he has no idea what that means. He doesn't know. And it's like he's an Oprah Winfrey television show away. Like, how did you know about? I don't know. I just knew I needed the prophet of Israel. And he's telling his friends, I need the prophet of Israel pronto. And they're like, but you're going to die of karma heresy. I don't care. This guy got to go to the Jordan River. A Jew's there to dunk me, but it's not Jesus or John the Baptist. So he's a ger. And he's going to go to the internet, and he's going to call. Well, we won't say the names for the recording. He'll call Noah Hyde organizations, and they're going to say, yeah, you're a Noah Hyde. Come to our conference. And he's going to go. He'll say, I'm in business in America, and I'm going to go. So now, let's say he does business in America between India. He's an interesting kind of guy. So it turns out his coworker, Steve, we didn't know about this, but Steve is a secular Jew. And I didn't know it because Steve eats pork and things, and he goes to baseball games on Saturday. And our friend says, Steve, I think I love the God of Israel. Steve says, it's Narishkeit. What are you talking about? He's like, no, Steve, really? I think I love Coca-Cola. And he says, Steve, do you know about God? Steve, yeah, I got a bar mitzvah. You're Jewish? Yeah, but it's Narishkeit. It's ridiculous. No, Steve, we need to go to synagogue and pray and find a prophet of Israel. I don't know about that. Hold on. So they have their exchange for 6 months. And our friend, the Indian guy, he's a starker one. He's a real ger. He got a real ger, nefesh hager. He merited it. Why did he merit it? The Vilna Gaon will say, in his previous life, he was a convert because no one told him about ger. He was a great convert. I mean, he did the mitzvahs. He did it. But he would have been ger. He would have been ger. But no one told him. I said, either we're going to kill you if you keep Shabbos, leave the shtetl, da-da-da-da. He said, all right, look, I'm not Jewish, but I'll play the game. Yeah, Hamish, Mami, Shechira. Oh, we love the Goyim. Yeah, I used to be a Goyim. My Goyim neighbor friend. But now I'm Jewish. So this life, he comes back, and God said, hey, we're going to give you the ger story this time. You're going to get ger this time. You're going to meet Russell Kirk in Waco, Texas. So now he meets a totally useless Jew. Steve is a self-hating Jew. But our friend is stark. He's a really chazak naman. And he just won't let it go. He gave him World of the Gear for $28.95, available on worldofthegear.net. And Steve had nothing to say. And he's like, all right, on my way to get donuts in the morning, I'll go pray with you. Okay, we'll pray. And then the rabbi is a Chabadnik, and he's like, where'd you come from? Where'd you call yourself Steve? Mamish, how you doing, Steve? The Babachur Rebbe says that a Baal Tshuva cannot stand in the place of a perfectly righteous person. He's a Hayya Madrega. So he's like, I always knew I was better than you, Rabbi. And he's like, yeah, and if you give a donation to our funds, it'll be Mamish Gevoldig. He's got a gold watch. And Steve gives. Steve, did you ever think about keeping Shabbos? No, but it's funny you ask, because my kids, stupid, Hebrew school, they're asking me, bring the Manischewitz. So, I don't know, my kid would probably want to come. I don't, Rabbi, I personally think you're worthless, but I'll come with my kid. Come with your kid. So, Friday night comes, and, the Indian's like, Steve, did you go? Did you go? Did you go? Did you go? Did you take your covenant? Did you take the covenant? And he's like, what covenant? It's like, And so Steve went with his daughter on Friday night, and it was horrible, right? Schmaltz and gefilte fish. And then they started to sing Grace After Meals. And they sang the melody, right? And then Steve's like, wow, I haven't heard that since I was 10 in the Young Judea summer camp. And they put like the paper yarmulke on Steve. Okay, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, and then they call him. They say, Steve, do you have a Hebrew name? Moshe Baruch. Moshe Baruch, lead the benching. And he's like, Rabbi So he's doing it, and he's like, then he goes home, and they ask him, hey, honey, Steve, wife says, how was it at the rabbi's house? Are you gonna become a frummy on us now, Steve? And he's like, no, I hate it, but in his heart now, he's a bit numb, and he's a ger. We can't taunt Steve anymore. So now he's like, man, I kind of like the rabbi's house. It reminds me of summer camp, and now he's doing the whole thing. So then his Indian friend said, what'd you think? What'd you think of the rabbi? He's a pretty amazing guy. And Steve's like, you got something here. I'll give you that. You got something here. But long story short, the ger made the Baal Tshuva. The Baal Tshuva made the ger. Right? The Baal Tshuva made the ger. Ger made the Baal Tshuva. And this went on this little dance. And whatever extent something came of their thing, Naaman goes back to his people and he's hardcore. We know the ger how he ended up, right? He's not going back. He is not going back to Hinduism. He is the new newsworthy ger story. And Steve will at least think twice about Yom Kippur, right? At least. And so that's Rebbe Nachman's Baal Tshuva and ger, and how the Nefesh ger works, because we in Sfat, or in Cape Town, started talking about Malki Tzedek, which the tzaddikim were not thinking about Malki Tzedek because it's not Jewish, supposedly. We only do Jewish stuff. So really non-Jewish people Jewish people doing not Jewish stuff, and Jewish people doing only Jewish stuff, created a soul to come down in a really non-Jew and a really Jew non-Jew, and then they got together, and then that caused fruits to come down, so a more watered down fruit. So a whole Baptist church in Alabama, one day the preacher said, I'm not praising Jesus today. I'm praising the God of Israel. And they all said, amen. And then the story ended. Why? Because that was all for today. Tomorrow, if you want to encourage your friends, the Jews and the tzaddikim and the Indian, the Baal Tshuva, to all do this little game again, then maybe that pastor in Alabama will go to the internet or get a dream and look it up and say, guys, yesterday wasn't a fluke. But if you want to be a shlamata and a shlamazel and lazy and boring and dull, then he's going to say, it was a nice thought. The God of Israel is a nice thought. But let's go back to Jesus. Let's go. It's up to you. Okay? You want to talk about Malki Tzedek. Look, and the Torah gives you this opportunity. I went off Travis. I'm now doing my own shtick, but whatever, it's worse. So, every year, Yaakov learned with the tents of Shem. And I'm a great rabbi in Bnei Brak, right? I'm a great rabbi in Bnei Brak. And I say, you know what? I was thinking, Rabbi Sai, Shem, I saw the Bulaturim. Shem, Malki Tzedek, amazing, ger, following emuna. Yay, go universalism. And then I said, it's for Goyim, let's go. Wait, Rabbi, you were so close. You were there. You were in Parshas Toldus. Why didn't it have to go Goy just because we left the Parsha? Why didn't you research it and go more and find Jacob's path with ger? So if every year we get the opportunity, so then they caused me, the Bacher, in his shir, to talk about Malki Tzedek to my friends, and then some tzaddik in Jerusalem made Nefesh ger, and a pastor talked about God instead of Jesus for one day. But the parsha changed. Why did you have to stop? Then we got to Shemos 4 weeks later. And then all again, the Gerim in Egypt. So God hints. Says the final Redeemer will come like a deer coming out of the woods. You see me, now you don't see me. You see me, now you don't see me. That's Mashiach, is it not? We get Shem, then we get a little bit of Ger, then we get a little bit of Nachri, a little bit of... And God's saying, can't you just connect those dots? That way you have the emuna, you got the tzaddikim, you got the nefesh, and the pastors will all say, God of Israel. That's how it's done. That's Rebbe Nachman's wisdom. How do you make Gerim? You got to do this little song and dance. You raise up the emuna. It's okay to be an anti-goy, anti-non-Jew, anti-ger Jew. Why? It's called a yeshiva tzaddik, right? He only knows Judaism. In theory, the non-Jews work in Torah. I don't want to see him. We don't need to blame him. He has a portion, right? He's not being a racist or a bigot. He's small-minded, but sometimes you need, as Amnon says, a little bit of a useful idiot. I'm not too smart, but a bit caliber, right? That's what you need, those guys. Why? It's life. Don't expect every Jew to be Moshe Rabbeinu. We got a couple of useful idiots. They're called Lamed Vavniks, hidden tzaddikim. They're not meant to be refined. Oh, they're useful idiots. That's what it is. It's they're filled with them. They're schnorrers, they're beggars. Those guys are the ones that are drinking the coffee, smoking the cigarettes, and they actually are changing the world. They really believe. But we all have those guys. You got the guy at work, it's like a low-life beer-drinking guy, but he gets the God of Israel. Why? Because they're a bit Ger. It's the Ger thing, right? It's that weird, quirky, I'm a low-life, I transgress, but I just get God. I get Ger, I get Nilva. Some people just get God. Those are the best guys around. But they get the job done. As long as they make Nefesh a Ger, and they call them the quirky Jews, and these are the quirky Jews who get Malki Tzedek, then God brings the Nefesh down for the caliber men. Steve and the Indian were caliber. Those are the guys you want. Right? You're real Naaman. Forget us. Baal Tshuva, Ger Jew, and the rejects. We are King David's lowlifes. It says King David hangs out with the lowlife. That's why King David hung out with the lowlife. The guy picked your pocket, and then he blessed you to God. It's a weird thing. The Sitra Achra can't stop it. Never sees it coming. That guy was a lowlife, and he saved the world. But he'll get paid back. Look, God beats him up. God's going to say, thank you for doing the mitzvah. We're going to punch you in the face now. You should have been drunk because you only sent up the Nefesh Shekir because you were wasted. And then he's saying, why? Why can't I get my act together? Why? Why do I have to get drunk and lose my mind and get aggressive and violent? Why? Because you made Naaman. And now Naaman's going to come say, get your act together. I used to be in the church, and what was your problem? You're a Jew from birth. Get your act together. He says, you don't tell me. I'm a tzaddik. I know better. You're not a tzaddik, but yes, he is. Because a King David kind of tzaddik nister. The Lamed Vavniks, they're unpredictable. Sfat's filled with them. So if you say, I never saw a person like that, go to Sfat. You'll see them. Right? And so that's, this is King David's world. Everyone hates David. He hangs out with lowlifes. That's why. It's just one of those things with God. Now, we're not saying a tzaddik varalo is the way to be. It's called tzaddik varalo. He's a tzaddik, but he's horribly unrefined. But he's a tzaddik. This is the Vilna Gaon says this in Evan Shlema. The Balatanya says this in Tanya. This is tzaddik varalo. You, Naaman, are Rasha V'Tovlo. You're a totally bad guy. You're in a cult and you believe in Jesus. But it's Tovlo. He's a refined, really good guy. He just needs help in the soul. This guy has a great soul. But in his previous life, he got drunk once and he killed a guy in the highway. It happens. So he is a tzaddik, but he got born with Ralo. Now he has a drinking problem. And God's saying, okay, look, you killed somebody, it's not nice. Worthy of death, right? On you. I'm going to give it back to you, but now you got to work on it. I'm going to make you an alcoholic. You got to work on it. You got to really work on it. And you're not going to finish the job, you're going to die an alcoholic. But the next life, based on what you did here, I'm going to make you with a tremendous chachma of how to make the best kosher Shabbos wine there is. You're going to die a bad guy. You're going to make Gerim. You're going to be alone and miserable, having made a lot of namen. You're losing your life, a life for life. In your next life, you're going to make a lot of mitzvahs, a lot of brachas, the schus of what you did, but you're not seeing it now. Only that. And if you have faith in emuna, you'll see it. And if you don't, then I'm going to make you a Nazarite when you come back. I'm going to make you having such an addiction to wine, you're going to make an oath to never drink wine again. Which is illegal. You have to bring an offering, but at least you'll learn your lesson. And these are like the cheshbonos that the Gra talks about in Never Shleim and Kabbalah. Right? Now, differently from our friend on the internet who says that is why like autistics were, that's not what we're saying. I don't know if that's the cheshbon, okay? But that's the type of thinking that Vilna Gaon says what you get in this world is from what you had the first time around. So I don't know if that's exactly how the cheshbon works. I'm not God to know. But I think for argument's sake, we can understand how I call Jewish karma, which they'll say, don't say that. Fine, I won't say it. Mazel works. That's called making Gerim, correct? Now, obviously, we can make holier Gerim than that. It shouldn't have to come to that drunk and alcohol, but we use life as a metaphor. There's also holy Gerim. The real tzaddik v'tovlo, who understands the non-Jew, and all the more so makes Gerim, many nefesh Gerim. And not just goofballs with Malki Tzedek, but kosher, Torah, Yaakov, and then the church, we didn't have to wait till tomorrow. They all said, amen, let's get rid of this Narishkeit, and let's get on with being Ger. Right? And we see that happens, like Russell and his group, Rod, right? It happens. Whole groups shed Avodah Zarah. Ki al yedei shenil katim v'nevarin. So all by it's better if I say it in Hebrew. By all the means, in my head it's Hebrew, say it in English. By the way of gathering and clarifying the fallen emuna, that from there they suckle their emuna. Right? So as long as Malki Tzedek is in the shmutz, there's a cult of Jesus of Malki Tzedek, right? Al yedei zeh, by that it weakens our emuna. So now, not only do we lose Malki Tzedek, I think Malki Tzedek is a goy and I'm a rabbi. That's not good. Because now I really lost my emuna. And we said, if I don't have emuna, now I'm a weirdo. Because you're a ger, you're going to come to me and say, Rabbi, tell me about Malki Tzedek. You're a Jew, you know the Torah. He is a goy. You're going to say, what? Now I'm treif. And I don't even know it. Right? Malki Tzedek was an idolater with Abraham. Abraham took the blessing. You're saying, I don't know about that, Rabbi, but I'm a Jew and I'm better than you, so you have to listen to me. That's a problem, isn't it? But then they will return to our holy emuna and make Gerim. Meaning, when we gather back Malki Tzedek and it pulls down the church and we take it back to our holy emuna, then it strengthens my holy emuna and it makes Gerim. So talking about Malki Tzedek made namen. That's one way to make Gerim. But when I secure Malki Tzedek, I make Gerim. So you don't have to be here for the whole discussion. If one guy who hates non-Jews, I mean, not really, but you know my point, right? One chop, he said, you're an idiot. Malki Tzedek was a great guy. What are you talking about? He doesn't know about any of this gestalt. He just did a one Kiddush Hashem. He said, what, Ger's non-Jew. I don't know, what are you talking about? He just brought down the church. As much as we've spent like 20 years on it, he got one chop, and it was the same level he made Ger. Right, all by himself. Right, the whole, he was the engine that made that work. Right? There was a tzaddik in the base medrash that with his tzaddik chavrusa and they got it on that day because they heard him talking, and that made Nefesh Ger. It's just like boom, right? One big boom. Whereas the other way, it was like the Amazon as opposed to the Nile, right? Two ways of doing it. Sometimes we make Gerim b'koyach, and sometimes we make Gerim b'poyel. Ger b'koyach is a ger. We make Gerim with power. And sometimes we make Gerim b'poyel, in process. You're not supposed to know what that means. He's going to explain. That is to say, or we make Gerim mamish b'poyel. So our first case, we were in process, right? I got my thing. Malki said, hey, they're smoking cigarettes. They're doing their thing, right? They're making, that team is making ger, mamish. So the low grade, we'll call it the low grade Nefesh Ger, that's how you make converts. When the goy comes to my synagogue and sees this coffee, the cigarettes, and the low grade, right? The convert, the goy will say, "I want brothers, friends, companions. I'm home." He wants to be a low grade Jew. He doesn't want to be the Gadol. He doesn't have aspirations of being the next king. He says, "Look, I'm a Hamish guy. Okay, I smoke cigarettes too. I drink beer with the boys. Brother, I want to be like you. You know, that's what he's doing. I like you. I really like you guys. I feel at home. I came on a tour with all my church, right? And I saw the Jews, and I thought, hey, I could be one of you guys. You're no different than me and my friends." Sheboyin Akum, the Akum are coming, Umizgairin, or they're made only b'koach. So they become ger. Or they're made only with koach. That by lifting the emuna that has fallen, it weakens their emuna. So who did we say that was again? It was a really strong guy in yeshiva. He's Jewish, and he doesn't get anything. But he read the Gemara, and he said, Shlomi, this is a non-Jewish ger. What? It's a convert. You're nuts. No, I just saw the Rashba, the Ritva, Rashba, and he's so strong, the whole yeshiva said, psh, wow, he's got a tremendous chiddush. You hear what this guy said? There's a non-Jewish ger. They all go, wow, that's great. That's called bekoach, right? He did it, right? So that lifts up the emuna, it kills the church. When that Jewish guy is so Jewish, like Lubavitcher Rebbe is one of these guys. He's so Jewish, he affects the non-Jewish world. When the other guys are so goyish, they affect the Jewish world. And it pulls the church down. When I was so Jewish and got goyishkeit, it literally was if you read the news that day, the Pope resigned. The day the Pope resigned, there was a Jew that got ger, so to speak. All Yidei Zeh, by that it was revealed to them in the place that they are, the holy emuna. So not only did you get the Pope, but you made a revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Pope's chambers. That he said, I'm stepping down as Pope, and now the new guy's going to come in. You really got it deep, right? Or, in the deep Bible belt, like a holy ruler and shaker, Maybe not the head guy, but the guy you don't see in the news, the head financial guy. Someone did tshuva. And he got the holy emuna. and they believe where they are. Look, the Pope, for our little example, he's not going to come in to be a Chabadsker, okay? Don't wait for the Pope to become Lubavitch, as they say in Texas, Lubavitch. He's not coming to be a Lubavitch, okay? He's not. He's going to keep the little outfit. He's going to have a little beanie. He's going to be a Pope. But when the time comes that Hashem needs that Pope to say, Hashem hu Elohim, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. In the Vatican, nonetheless. I don't want him coming to a Chabad house to say it because it's not the emes. He's going to do it in where he is at. Or Obama in the White House will say, I get Ger. Right? It's going to happen. These are like Queen of Sheba. She was one of these. Right? Queen of Sheba got it. That when sheyesh yachid kadmon yizbayrich, they understand there's oneness. But kol makom muktar among ish l'shmi v'zet aloy kavi chayzik amona kaz biyois shehayim etachila hainu kashamona kaz. I hate that the nekuda are hard on that one. Kaz biyois. I want to say it should be because I don't know what I want to say, but it's a weird nekuda. Kaz biyois. I want to say kazvios. That's what it is. It's a bet. I want to say vet. I want to say kazvios. It's kazbio. This is harsh. He was very Christian. He was very strong in the beginning. That's the thing. It's the harder they are, the harder they fall. You want the biggest goy in the planet to exist so that the biggest brisker in the world can knock him down, like Samson. Also Naaman. How did Naaman become Ger? He killed the king of Israel with an arrow by accident. Right? When did was that? They broke it and lifted the fallen emuna of holiness from there, and it made Gerim. Then there made Gerim bepoil mamish. Sorry. It was a new thought. When it's the hardcore guy, so maybe it's not the Pope, it's like the second in the chamber, right? But when it's the Pope, he becomes a Ger Mamish. So, the Pope's a rough example. It's Donald Trump's daughter. Okay, it's one of those. If it's true, I'm saying. Look, we're all waiting for someone big to get it, but the point of the mashal is, and when it's not so strong, it's our regular people. Then they are broken. They're emuna. Right? You made him weird. You made him weird. See, the other guy you made very weird. Like, I am on Wall Street, and I rule the world, and I bless the God of Israel. Huh? What? That's weird. This guy, I'm a good Christian. I love you people, but Jesus just ain't it. What? Where did that come from? Right? He's off. He's broken. He can't go back. Right? He's done. Also, your friends on Wall Street. Like, I go to synagogue. You do what? So now, when we broke this lowlife guy, he switched it to holiness. Right? Whole thing, like I say, the wrestling shirts, Jesus trained. Right? And when he wins, he says, thank God, thank God. All he did different was God became Hashem. Nothing changed. Still a wrestler. Got a new shirt. And when he won the match, he said, Baruch Hashem. And it comes out as thank God. No one knew. They say, hey, you want to go to church tomorrow? I'm done with that. He's done. He's broken. But only one thing changed. Well, it's all changed. I still love you, the Christian. We're still good. I'll eat pork with you. All these things. But I'm not down. I'm not wearing a Jesus training shirt anymore. Sorry. Then she'enam emuna rot, then he is not going to convert. Why? Why? You know why? The guy on Wall Street will keep Shabbos, won't he? He will, won't he? He wants to go to shul to keep Shabbos. The wrestler wants to wrestle on Saturday. Right? I'm not giving up wrestling. The other guy's like, I don't want to work on Saturday ever again. I want to go with my Jewish friends and have the Chaim. And then it's like, Brian, how are you, my Jewish brother? Oh, I'm good, Rabbi. We know that guy. The wrestler's like, the Jews are cool, man. Leave them alone. They're cool people. But I'm wrestling on Saturday. All right.